Hey, my friends, everyday cyclists, it's Graeme, street owner for Cyclocore, and you're joining me here on a quiet Sunday afternoon after my typical Sunday group ride. You're joining me here with, of course, my post-ride elixir. This is the Founders Centennial IPA. This is a Michigan beer. Every beer that Founders does is fantastic, but if you like IPAs, this is a great one. Why am I having beer at 11:30 in the morning, you ask? No. I'm not a raging alcoholic. I'm a guy that's pretty pissed off with my group ride this morning. And it's not because I didn't have a good ride or because I got dropped off the back or because I didn't perform well. In fact, quite the contrary. I probably had one of the strongest rides I've had all year. Now, what I want to share with you today is some things for you to think about. They're not tips as much as they are concepts. And I think they're pretty important concepts for all of us everyday cyclists. Concept number one, taking the opportunity to reach beyond what you thought was possible, stretching your boundaries. And I know it seems cliche and kind of bullshit and fluffy, but if you want to get better as an everyday cyclist, whether you're looking to go from 15 mile per hour averages up to 17 mile per hour averages, stay with your local group on Wednesday nights and not get dropped off the back, or become king of the mountain on some really hard, nasty roads that tend to bog you down or have in the past, it's important to learn how to push yourself beyond your boundaries. I think so many of us limit ourselves based on who we think we are on the bike. And I know for myself, over 27 years now of riding, that I've always said that I'm not a natural-born rider. And I think in general I'm probably not. But let me tell you something. I'm a lot better rider than I thought that I was just a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago, or a couple years ago. And I bet you are too. And a lot of times what can tend to happen is we kind of box ourselves into the rider we think we were before. And as a result, we're not willing to try things that we might fail with. And you've heard me talk about failure so many times, the ability to put yourself out there, stretch those boundaries, and potentially fall on your face. And, being an entrepreneur and a parent and a cyclist, I can tell you that failure is an important and resourceful tool to use. Today is a good example. Why am I upset today about stretching my boundaries? Because I went out with a goal today. We had about a 60-mile group ride today planned. Much like usual, my local group posts what ride we're going to do along with topography, what roads we're going to be on, things like that. And sure enough, my group had us planned to go leaving from Chester, which is just north of where I live here, up to the dreaded, for me anyway, Mount Parnassus, which is nothing special. It's about a 6.5, 7 mile segment of rolling climbs. I think it's 4 total climbs, really fast, 40 mile per hour descents. Not the hardest road I've ever been on. In fact, not even close to the hardest climbs I've ever done. Nothing real unique about it other than for some reason, for the past decade of riding in this area or more, I think 12 years, I've never been able to perform well on it. I've never been able to reach beyond myself. For some reason, I always have some kind of problem. Today, when the group rolled in, there was, I think, 15 or 20 of us. It was a big group today. And not only that, there was 1 or 2 key people there that I knew are what we would call heavy hitters for riders in my area. And I thought that was actually good because I've actually been on a pretty strong training block, getting prepared for D2R2, which is the Deerfield Dirt Road Random A, which is next weekend. This is kind of like my last time to really push myself. And not because I'm going to be doing hard Strava segments or Zone 4 threshold for D2R2, but I'm feeling fit. I'm feeling strong. And today was an opportunity to see, well, what can we do with that fitness and reach beyond my boundaries? And one rider in particular, Chris, who I've ridden with several times before, he and I butt heads on KOM segments here in the area a lot, not because we don't like each other, we actually like each other very much, but we're both pretty competitive, and I'll admit I'm pretty competitive with KOMs. I'll admit it. It's the one chance where I get to be competitive with myself and others without having to be Mr. Joe Racer, which is not who I am. Like me or hate me for that, I really don't care. I'm just being honest with you. So today we headed up towards Mount Parnassus, and I made a decision in my head that I'm going to take my current state of fitness and just feeling good. I felt good today. I woke up and felt good today. I had a strong run yesterday. I had a strong ride the day before that. I've been doing well, and I decided I'm going to put everything on the table just for Mount Parnassus today. And I knew it's about a 20 20-minute segment, a 20-minute sufferfest. It's a long road. For 6.5 miles, 20 minutes, I'll let you do the math on that. And sure enough, Butler came with me. And the rest of the group kind of disappeared after just the first hill, which I think Butler knew that I was going to throw down on there today and decided to roll with it. And we hammered it out, and we hammered it out, and hammered it out the whole road until we finally hit the last mile. And I was able to put some serious heat into him, which is rare because Chris is a phenomenal cyclist and much more gifted on a bicycle naturally than I am. I'm always chasing him on everything. So to be able to put distance between myself and him gave me that perk that I was looking for, and I decided to keep on stretching that boundary further and further and further. Long story short, made it to the top of Mount, dreaded freaking pain in my ass, Parnassus, and I felt pretty good about myself because I knew that if I had worked that hard, I know when I've gone well and when I haven't, and I knew what that road took to get KOM on. And again, my goal was not KOM. My goal was to finally finish that road and say, I fucking did it the best that I freaking could. I pushed beyond what I thought was possible. I wanted to stop hurting 10, 15 different times during the 20-minute segment, but I kept pushing through. And that's what really gave me that internal satisfaction. And being able to beat Chris up there made me feel obviously even a little bit better. Of course, he beat me on 2 other segments just later on in the course. Then, long story short, I got back home, loaded it to Strava, expecting to see the big, crown on there, or at least, second place. Or I'd been, I think, like 18th place or something out of 200 some odd riders on there. And not only was I not KOM on it, but I didn't even register. My Garmin, and it turns out several Garmins today, not just mine, but about 10 other riders, give or take, had the exact same problem. For whatever reason, the satellite feed is just not feeding well. We got cloud cover today. And so here I put out this huge whomping effort, beat my nemesis road, put in a solid, time. I definitely one that I know in my heart I got a KOM for, and no, no Palmares at the end. Now, granted, who needs that shit? Seriously, I know I put in a fantastic ride today, period, regardless of whether I got a crown or not a crown, or a KOM or not a KOM, and of course that's a whole different discussion. What I want you to take away from this is that if you can go out on a ride, any ride, mountain bike, road, cyclocross, whatever it is, and find a way to reach beyond who you think you are as a rider, you're going to break through to new levels that you didn't even know were there. And I don't just mean on the bike. I just mean, I think, in general. You're going to walk away and ride away with a different opportunity. I know I've been a changed rider ever since I came back from BC Bike Race. My wife will attest to it. Most of you may attest to it. I see things differently now. It's because when I was there for BC, I didn't think I should be there originally. I thought it was way beyond me. There's no possible way I'm going to be able to do 7-day stage race #1. There's no way I'm going to be a good enough mountain biker to handle British Columbia terrain. There's no way I'm going to be able to finish, day after day of pummeling and abuse. And not only did I prove that I could, but I kept getting better as I did it. And I'm sharing that with you not to gloat about my own, adventures with this, but to share with you that, look, I do this for a living. I help people around the world do amazing things on a bicycle. And I'm not much different than they are. I'm not much different than you are. I'm afraid of shit too. And making myself hurt, or more importantly, putting myself out there and figuring out, God, I can't do this, or I failed. But when you do those things and you do fail, and I failed on Mount Parnassus, I can't tell you how many times I've had my head literally hanging low. In fact, I will share with you, I honestly believe, if I recall, it might have been earlier this year, literally crying on Mount Parnassus because my legs just simply wouldn't turn over. More like a mental fuck, mental block in your head, and you just can't get past it. And to get past that today means more than any crown or Strava KOM is possible of doing. The second thing I want to share with you, I know this has been a little bit long already, but hell, we're drinking beer together, right? So who cares? When you're given the opportunity to ride with a rider that you think is better than you, use that as an opportunity. Even if you put yourself out there and try to butt heads with that rider. Again, this isn't just to be competitive, but to see if someone else can help bring out from you what you already have. Because riding with Chris today, Chris didn't bring anything out in me that I don't already possess. he just gave me an added incentive to possibly push harder than I would normally do on my own. And I knew that when he showed up. I was hoping he was going to show up today, and when he did, I was both happy and scared at the same time, because I knew that if we're going to go over Parnassus, knowing Chris and how competitive Chris is, he's going to hammer it, and I had a choice. Am I going to hammer it with him? Am I going to instigate the hammering? Or am I just going to hang out in the back and let the road, embarrass me like it normally does? And I didn't do that. So it's an important feature, and one that will carry over to other goals and other situations. Last thing, and this one is important as well. I had a customer there today that I've never met before personally. I know him on Strava. I know him on Facebook. He's been a customer of mine for a while. He lives actually about 20 minutes north of me here, which is amazing that I haven't ridden with him before, but today is the first day I've ever met him. And when we got to the ride, he had said to me, you're the only instructor that I've ever met for indoor training or cycling training that teaches techniques. Everyone else is all about intensity, mileage. And I agreed with him, to be honest with you, that you're right. I am one of the few ones that really goes deep into helping you connect your brain to your body and to your soul as you're riding, because when you can do those things, you can really pull out from yourself what's possible. And it was important that he said that to me, because that's really what I strive for you, whether you use my Cyclo 90 programs, or my Cyclo Core workouts, or my HIIT workouts, my trainer workouts, or all the above, you're a club member, is that if you can ride away with one technique, one way to connect better with your pedal stroke, with your breathing, with your thinking on the bike, and make that a powerful tool that helps you enjoy the bike more, then I did my job, and I did it well, because those techniques will always have more long-term value and rate of return for you than any quick jump in speed or power. And I know for me today, as I was going through the Sufferfest on Mount Parnassus, that I went through at least 10 or 15 different techniques, from wagon wheels to shoe scrapers, knee thrusters, forced ventilation, wagon wheels, popcorns. I kept rotating as many techniques, the same techniques that I teach you in my videos. I rotated endlessly to get my ass up and over that frickin' road and into the KOM position. So although Strava might not show me as KOM right now, I know for a fact that I am. And the reason that I do know is that Chris has just uploaded his Strava stuff, and he got second today. And I was quite a bit ahead of him at the finish of that road. So I do know that it did happen. But again, that's why God made beer, and I brew it, so that you can kind of wash away your sad feelings about stupid shit that you may or may not have gotten. I hope these tips are helpful. Sorry to be long-winded today, but this is more about a conversation with you than tips or trying to be an expert. I'm no more an expert than you are, especially about yourself. Never forget what you're possible of, and be willing to put yourself out there, even if it means you fail in the short term. You'll always come around and win in the long term. So we speak again. Drink good beer. Always drink good beer. Always ride hard, and always ride with a smile on your face. I'll talk to you soon.